Good morning, everyone. I'm very pleased to be here today to speak about introduction to intellectual property. I have been asked by Professor Sangdel to come and give this presentation today, and I'm honored to talk to you in Afghanistan about intellectual property. So I'm going to talk on introduction, and if I say introduction, it means that it is not a very deep presentation, because I don't know all the participants and their level in this field. So that's why I'm going just to introduce intellectual property to you. I'm going to speak on intellectual property and what are intellectual property rights, what is a patent, what is a trademark, what is an industrial design, what is a geographical indication, what are copyright and related rights, and at last I will end by presenting the World Intellectual Property Organization, and I will conclude. So, as you may know, my name is Elangi Botoy Ituku, originally from the Democratic Republic of Congo, Central Africa. I work at the World Intellectual Property Organization here in Geneva, and I am Industrial Property Information Officer. I cover now the entire world, because before I covered Africa and some Arab countries, and now I'm covering the entire world. Among the countries of the entire world is Afghanistan. So let us speak about what is intellectual property. Intellectual property refers to the works of the mind, that is to say, of human creation. I underline in red, you see, the works of the mind, meaning that all of you participants, as you are there, you have your mind, and you are endowed by the mind, and then you can create, you can innovate, you can contribute to the development of the world. So intellectual property refers to the works of the mind. And you have here, you see this image, which is very illustrative, which shows you what I said earlier. Intellectual property refers to the works of the mind. And you can see that all the inventions which are there, you see, for example, a hat, you see books, you see cell phones, and many other things, you see, they proceed from the mind. They proceed from the mind, from the brain, and you, as a participant today, you should know that you also have a mind, and meaning that you can also create. You can create. So now I'm going to start now. The works of the mind. So I start with patents. And you see there is an engine there, you see, this is the car engine, and this is a work of the mind. And it is an invention. An invention means that something that comes for the first time, you see, to this world, and in this world. And innovation is when you develop something. We're going to see that later. So when you invent, for example, when you create, for example, an engine, then you will receive a patent. A patent meaning a right that is granted to you by your national Intellectual Property Office to recognize you that you are the inventor or the innovator, and to give you the exclusive right which lasts 20 years. So patents are granted for inventions and innovations. Now, after this, you come. What is the role of patents in everyday life? It is good to talk about that. Patented inventions have permitted all aspects of human life, from electrical lighting, meaning patents held by Thomas Edison, Latimer, and Son, and sewing machines, patents held by O and Singer, for example, to magnetic resonance imaging. We have patents owned by the Median and the iPhone, which we are using today. You see, patents owned by Apple. All the past, present, and future technologies, thanks to which we have improved, we continue to improve, our living conditions have been and will be disclosed to humanity thanks to patents for invention and innovation. Imagine how the world would look like without inventors and innovators, engineers, creators of all kinds. There would have been no airplanes, no cars, no trains, no motorbikes, cell phones, televisions, computers, boats, watches, etc. So life would have been very, very bland. So this is the importance of patents, you see. That is very good. A work of the mind. There is something here, please, you can excuse me. I see here, I have to remove this, excuse me, okay. Now, after talking about patents, now you have trademarks. So trademarks, what are they? Trademarks are the works of the mind as well. So you see the names of some trademarks which are famous, and if you go to Interbrand ranking 2019, you'll see, for example, you have Apple. Apple is a trademark. Google, Amazon, Microsoft, Coca-Cola, Samsung. So trademark is a name. Trademark can be your name also. So you see, you have Toyota, you have McDonald's, Intel, so Honda, you have all these, you see, you have Gucci, you have Visa, Caterpillar. So all of them are trademarks. And trademark is very important for business. When you create a business company, for example, in Afghanistan, you should have a trademark, your brand. So that is very good. And a brand is a work of the mind also. What is the role of trademarks in everyday life? By going to market to get your supplies, you as consumers, you are going to look and buy trademarks, you see, or service marks. When you go to market, for example, you ask, okay, I want to buy Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is a trademark. You want to have Apple. Apple is a trademark. You see, iPhone. So this is the importance of trademark in our real life. So the content of the product does not generally matter to us when we go, for example, to market. Thus, trademarks play the role of clothing for products. The more beautiful and the bright the clothes, the more the customers are attracted. So that's why you see all those trademarks which attract people today, consumers today, the ones that I've mentioned earlier. Imagine a market without brand, without distinctive sign, allowing us to quickly activate our memory and guiding us in our choice, as well as the time that it would cost us to choose a product or a service. So brands permeate all aspects of human life, since all consumer products in the trade of goods and services carry a trademark to distinguish them from each other. After trademark, we have industrial designs. And these industrial designs, these deal with ornamental nature. Just ornamental. You see, aesthetic character. You have, for example, a bottle. A bottle has an ornamental character. So that is industrial designs. And what is the role of industrial designs? All products and processes manufactured in all kinds of industries, in all technological fields, have an ornamental or aesthetic shape. Whether agricultural, food, pharmaceutical, and cosmetic products, vehicles, boats, planes, houses, machine tools, and all the products we know. So they have a shape. They have an ornamental shape. So this is called industrial design. And if you have to buy liquid products, for example, and processes, you will see that they are contained in a container that has an ornamental and aesthetic shape as well. Now imagine a market without industrial designs. So the products would be sold without an ornamental shape or container. So that could be impossible. After industrial design, we have geographical indications. And geographical indications, this is what you can see. One example, it is Isigny butter. It is manufactured in France. It has geographical climate characteristics. Like in Afghanistan, for example, you have some regions where you have natural products which can taste very good because they originate from a certain locality of your country. So the role of geographical indications is to give value, to add value to natural resources which we have in our countries, the natural products, agricultural products and or any other product which is natural, which originate from us. And it explains also that in geographical indications, the way it is prepared, you see, proceed from a traditional knowledge which needs to be also protected. So that you can add value to your natural products through geographical indications and sell this all around the world. So now I have spoken about industrial property, and then now I go to literary and artistic works or copyright. So you see all these choreographic, what you can see there, music. So this is literary and artistic works or copyright. And then you can see the same here. So this is copyright. They call it also literary and artistic work. Literary and artistic works, you see, like a book, for example. You can write a book, you can write an article, you can make a song. So this is literary and artistic work or copyright. Now, I spoke about intellectual property, and now I have to explain to you the two branches of intellectual property. The first branch is industrial property, and industrial property includes inventions and innovations, which are creations of a technical nature. And then you have industrial designs, which are creations of an ornamental nature. And then you have trademarks and geographical indications, which are distinctive signs. Industrial property requires the filing of an application for its protection with a national intellectual property office or an international organization. So if, for example, you invent something, an engine, for example, or you innovate, or a trademark, or geographical indication, you can go to your intellectual property office to file your application so that this office can grant you this right. Now, how does the industrial property system work? Industrial property system has two functions. The first one is protection. The protection of industrial property, patents, trademarks, industrial designs, and geographical indications is strictly territorial. It means that if you go to your country, to your national office, you will be protected only in Afghanistan. You cannot get your intellectual property in Afghanistan and be protected everywhere in the world. No, that is not possible. So your protection will be limited in space, only in your country or a region. If countries of that region, for example, the European Patent Office, which numbers 37 countries, they have come together and there is an office that grants patent for European countries, each of them or all of them combined. So you are only protected in this territory. And protection is also temporary, meaning it's limited in time. If you are granted a patent or a trademark or any other right, you are not going to be given this right eternally. No. So it is protected. For example, patents, 20 years. Trademarks, 10 years. But trademarks, you have to renew trademarks all the time. But patents, only 20 years, and after it falls into the public domain. And then you have industrial designs, which is protected also in some countries for 10 years, others for 7 years. So it depends on your country's regulations and laws. Now, when you go to your National Patent Office or National Intellectual Property Office, and it grants you an intellectual property right, it will publish it in your national register so that everybody else from the entire world access this information. So now, anyone in Afghanistan can access protected and published intellectual property rights anywhere in the world to learn from them in order to innovate in your country. So after speaking about industrial property, now the second branch is literary and artistic property or copyright. It includes literary works, like I showed you in the pictures, books, theses, brochures, articles, novels, poems, films, musical works, artistic works, drawings, paintings, photographs, and sculptures, and architectural works, etc. Now, the difference between industrial property and literary and artistic work or copyright is that literary and artistic property requires no filing for its protection. It does not require any formality since it is automatically protected as soon as its form of expression has concretely been shaped. It means that when you, for example, you write your book, you don't need to go to your intellectual property office, so in your country, to ask for protection. You see, for this, you are protected once you have finished to write your book. So that is the difference between industrial property and literary and artistic property or copyright. And copyright protects you everywhere. In Afghanistan, you publish your book there, and for example, in Argentina or in Congo, someone copies it and starts reproducing it there. You have the right to go to Afghanistan or Congo to prosecute. You see, you can go to bring this situation to justice there, even though you didn't protect there, because for literary and artistic property, it is protected where it comes from, and then it goes all around the world. So now the two differences have been now very well explained, and we're going now to see what are intellectual property rights. You have industrial property, meaning that you have a patent, and patent is given for invention or innovation, a product or a process, inventions or creations of technical nature. Then you have a patent for 20 years. Now you have trademarks. Trademarks is a distinctive sign to distinguish your products from other products, the products of your competitors, for example, when you go to market. You have industrial designs, which are creations of ornamental nature, like I said. And then you have geographical indications, which are the products which come from a country. You see, geographical, meaning that it originates from a country like Afghanistan, and these products, you have added value to them, and this is how you can value, for example, your agricultural product, the taste of some geographical food, and so and so. So this is called geographical indication. Now, intellectual property rights don't stop with industrial property. You go on the other right, literary and artistic property or copyright, like I said, and you have the neighboring rights. Neighboring rights meaning rights which are recognized to performers, producers of phonograms, radio, and television. You have, for example, your song. If you are a singer, you make a song, and someone else wants to sing it, to perform it. He is not the author of this song, but he will perform. So he will have neighboring rights, or rights which are like the right of the author. And that's why we call it neighboring rights. So for copyright, the protection is granted to you all your life long. It's not like industrial property, because industrial property grants you a limited protection. You see the duration of protection, only 20 years, 10 years, and 5 years, and so and so. But literary and artistic property will be protected all your life long. As long as you're going to live, your right will be protected. And not only that, 50 years after your death, 50 years after death, then copyright is still going to be protected by your children who are going to benefit from it. So that is the two branches of intellectual property and their rights. For introduction. Now, I'm going to speak about the TISC program, which is Technology and Innovation Support Center program, which will benefit you so that you can also invent, you can also create, you will have access to all the technologies of the world, of the scientific publications of the world, and you will learn from them so that you can promote innovation in Afghanistan. So the TISC program stems from the WIPO. WIPO is World Intellectual Property Organization Development Agenda, which was adopted by the WIPO General Assembly in September 2007. And let me tell you that Afghanistan is a member of our organization. So the development agenda numbers 45 recommendations divided into 6 clusters. The recommendation 8 is the basis of the TISC program. TISC meaning Technology and Innovation Support Centers. And this recommendation states that WIPO will facilitate access to specialized databases to developing countries and least developed countries. The objective of the TISC program is to reduce the technical and scientific knowledge gaps between developing countries and least developed countries and industrialized countries, which are members of the World Intellectual Property Organization. Therefore, WIPO establishes technology and innovation support centers in its member state. So, as far as I know, we have not established any technology and innovation support center in Afghanistan. But if your government, which is a member of our organization, writes to the Director General of the organization asking that we come to Afghanistan and we establish technology and innovation support centers, then you will have access to all the resources of the Technology and Innovation Support Center program, so that you can reduce the knowledge gaps. Now, how to reduce these knowledge gaps? Like I told you, through the TISC program, WIPO puts at the disposal of countries like Afghanistan numerous intellectual property information and tools which you will use to reduce the knowledge gaps and therefore to promote innovation and develop business in your country. Now, example of promotion of innovation. You have the cell phones which are in front of you. You can see how our cell phone started in around the 1980s. Around 1980. So look at those image, the image at the left side. This is very big. It started like a big suitcase. And 10 years later, look now how it came. So it means that it was promoted, it was transformed, developed. So it was big as a suitcase in the beginning, and now look how it is now. And then look, today we have Apple iPhone, which is modern and sophisticated. So you see, to go from the first cell phone to today this cell phone, you see, it is a long way. And this requires innovation, development of the works of the mind. And then you will do the same thing if you want to develop Afghanistan in your field. You look for information in your field and you will learn from this, and it will give you insight, and then you will invent or innovate so that you can bring something new to the world and to the market. Look, iPhone today, Apple again. You see iPhone 11 issued in January 2019. So you see, it develops all the time. Now, the second example, what you see in front of you is the first airplane. The first airplane, look, as it was in 1903 in United States. And when it flew, it lasted only 59 seconds. It took 59 seconds for this first airplane to land. Now, after this, look, we have in 1927 these airplanes. You see how it is promoted, it is transformed, developed, and you see today we have this big airplane which is called Airbus, and this can take about 800 passengers. But if you go back to the first one, you see there is no one there, and then you come here, it was only one, Charles Lindbergh, one passenger, and look today where we are. So this means promotion of innovations, meaning that you learn from what exists, and then you can create universities like the one we have here with Mr. Sangdel, UMF University. So Mr. Sangdel is teaching, educating students to give them this insight so that they can promote innovation in their field, whatever field it is. So the promotion of innovation can be done individually or can be done through educational system. And the university is the first institution where thousands of students are coming to learn so that they can use their brain to innovate and to develop the country. So that's why you see what Mr. Sandel is doing, because he has chosen this way of educating, because education is life. Education brings life to your brain so that you can be able to think from yourself and learn from anything that you can find so that you can innovate, you can develop your country. So these are the examples of promotion of innovation. And the TISC program gives you this, so that this information, so that you can promote innovation in your country. So intellectual property, with its two branches, helps countries innovate. If a country wants to develop business, to create jobs, this country should really, use intellectual property, because intellectual property is the tool that helps a country innovate and develop its economy. And now you see what is the contribution of intellectual property rights to employment, for example. I give you the example of the use of intellectual property. According to the European Union, industries that make intensive use of intellectual property rights, meaning industries which have patents, trademarks, industrial designs, and copyright, they generate 45% of GDP, meaning about 6.6 trillion euro in the European Union annually. This is what they generate. So you see, I spoke to you about industrial property rights and copyright also. And look how they develop Europe. So they account for 84 million jobs. 84 million jobs, it's about 40% of all jobs in the European Union. And now, there is a further 21 million people who are employed in different sectors. They supply those industries with goods and services. So you see the importance of using intellectual property in a country. Now I continue. More than 82% of European exports were generated by industries which were using intensively above mentioned intellectual property rights. In Switzerland, where UMEF is based, where the World Intellectual Property Organization is based, 30.7% of employment, meaning 1.3 million jobs, are created in Switzerland directly through intellectual property intensive industries. And if we say intensive use, it means that if you have a patent, for example, you can work it yourself with your company, but you can also grant licenses. You see, you can create partnerships and you give licenses to other companies which will work and then will give you royalties. You see, so there are many uses of intellectual property rights. You provide licenses. You can you can create a lot of partnerships. So this is just an example to explain to you how you can use intensively your intellectual property right. And the contribution of intellectual property rights intensive to Switzerland GDP amounts to 41.3%, or 241 million euros. You see, this is every year in Switzerland, a small country of 8 million inhabitants only. So you can see again here the contribution of intellectual property to employment. Look now the share. You see trademark 30%, design, industrial designs 21%, patents 16%, and copyright 7%. So this is how, and now you can see the details here. So the details you see, trademarks, look, employment, 46, more than 46 million, you see, jobs, just for trademarks. And then you have design, you have patent, and then you have copyright and geographical indications. So you have all of them there. Look now how they contribute to the economy of a country. Now, what lessons can Afghanistan learn from the European example, which I've shown you, meaning European Union and Switzerland? So the examples of intensive use of intellectual property rights in the European Union and in Switzerland show that intellectual property is a powerful generator of jobs. Because when you create, you see, you remember I spoke to you about the works of the mind. Now, if you create either an engine or something else, a product, and so, you're going to sell it. And you're going to employ a lot of people in your country. So you're going to provide jobs to people there. So you're going to solve the problem of unemployment. And that's why this example for Afghanistan is very, very crucial to show that intellectual property is a powerful generator of jobs. Because out of a total of 215 million jobs, intellectual property covers 84 million. Almost half of the jobs in the European Union. Afghanistan and other developing countries and least developed countries should organize to start using intellectual property rights intensively so that they can raise their standard of living. Now, how many patent documents are there? Because we spoke about patents. Now, how many patent documents are available? Today, more than 110 million patent documents have been published and are available in the patent databases of national, regional, and international intellectual property offices, like WIPO Patent Scope, like European Patent Office ESPASnet. So more than 80% of published documents is no longer protected, meaning that it has fallen into the public domain and you can use it free of charge. You will pay nothing if you access these databases, which are free of charge. And like Afghanistan is a member of WIPO, you will have access. You can establish the Technology and Innovation Support Center network in your country, and you will benefit free of charge. You will have access to all these resources, and then it will nurture your universities there so that you can use them in every field so that you can create business and then develop your country. So every year, more than 2 million new patent applications are published. A patent document contains more than 80% of technical information which you will find nowhere else. It is a unique source of technical information. Out of the 110 million patent documents, each useful patent document can create a business, meaning a small and medium-sized enterprise, a startup in Afghanistan. Now, look how those patent documents have been classified. You have 8 sections which you can see there. You have section A, which contains patents or technologies dealing with agriculture, food products, medicines, pharmaceuticals, cosmetics, tobacco, etc. So let me tell you that India, if India today is numbering more than about 20,000 pharmaceutical laboratories, it is because India has used the information, the technical information which is found in section A. Then you have section B, performing operation, transporting. If you want to build vehicles, boats, airplanes, roads, houses, machine tools, anything you want, you will have access to patent documents. and you will see the description of those inventions and innovations. You will see the drawings also. So you will learn from that, and you can reproduce there if they are not protected in your country. Remember, I told you that the protection is strictly territorial. It means that when you have access to all this information, you can use it free of charge in your country and create jobs there. Section C, chemistry, metallurgy. You have section D, textiles. And let me tell you that Pakistan has developed its textile industry thanks to the information which it found in section D. And then you have section E, fixed constructions. If you want to build roads, railways, bridges, and every other buildings. So you can find technologies, meaning formulas, you see, which were used by others to build what are the very good and the brand new technologies. You will find them there. And if they are not protected in Afghanistan, you will learn from that, and then you can also reproduce the same thing there and innovate and file for your intellectual property rights. You have section F, mechanical engineering, lighting, heating, weapons, blasting, so everything. Section J, physics, physics and computer science, and section H, electricity. So all the 110 million technologies are described by patent documents, and they are there free. You can access them free when you come to a database which is called PatentScope, and this is how you're going to find all this information free of charge. This is the program of commercial databases. Afghanistan will find will have access to the commercial database program to find also some information which to which some value were added. So you combine free of charge database and commercial database together. So, and then you have access free of charge, because Afghanistan is a member of WIPO. So I think that Afghanistan has free of charge access to this to commercial, but I will check again and see. So just write to us, and then we'll see. We will analyze your country, because your country should fulfill some conditions to access this free of charge. So how many documents of trademarks and industrial designs are there? So you have 60 million trademarks that have been published and are available in the databases of national, regional, and international intellectual property offices. WIPO Global Brand Database, Office of the European Union for Intellectual Property. And then you have more than 15 million industrial designs, which are there also in the same databases for you to use them. To create business. I showed you, you see in the beginning, the image of famous trademarks. You saw there Google, you saw Gucci, you saw. So we have a database which has all these trademarks, and you will have access to those trademarks. The database for patent is to help you manufacture, reproduce products or processes. And if you want to go to market, then you will have access to trademarks, database, and designs, which will give you business and trade intelligence, so that you can develop business there and develop your economy. So designs, we have about, this is WIPO's database, numbers 11 million designs. Apart from the intellectual property which I spoke about, we have scientific publications. And scientific publications are the programs of the United Nations, which gathers 5 institutions, and we put at your disposal more than 85,000 journals, ebooks, articles of the highest quality. And for you, you will learn from that when you are a university student or a researcher or any other student. So you can have access to this free of charge. And I think Afghanistan has free of charge to these programs, and you will have access to all these universities there, like Dunya University in Afghanistan can also have access to all these resources and shares it, distributes to students for you to learn what is going on everywhere in the world. And the ultimate goal of this program is to reduce the knowledge gaps between industrial property and developing countries and least developed countries. So when you have access to all these resources, then you will be able to reduce your knowledge gap, you see, and develop your country by yourself, because it is your education, the educational system, that will grasp all these resources and use them to develop your economies. So, lessons learned from intellectual property I told you about. Now let me tell you about the intellectual property organizations. We have WIPO, which is the World Intellectual Property Organization. It was established in 1967, but its origin goes back to 1893. Today, our organization numbers 194 member states, and the headquarters is in Geneva in Switzerland. Among our member states is Afghanistan. Then you have OAPI, which is a regional organization in Africa, gathering French-speaking countries, and it was established in 1962. It numbers 17 member states. And then you have the European Patent Office, which was established in 1977, and which numbers today 37 member states, especially European countries, and the headquarters is in Munich. For OAPI, the headquarters is in Yaoundé in Cameroon. And then you have ARIPO, which is the African Regional Intellectual Property Organization, established in 1977, and it numbers 18 member states, especially English-speaking African countries. The headquarters is in Harare in Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe, for those who don't know, is situated close to South Africa. Then you have the Eurasian Patent Organization, which was founded in 1994, and it numbers 8 member states. The headquarters is Russia. So, the World Intellectual Property Organization was established in 1967 and is an international organization dedicated to helping ensure that the rights of creators and intellectual property rights holders are protected worldwide, and that inventors and authors are recognized and rewarded for their ingenuity. WIPO goal stimulates human creativity, pushes the limits of science and technology, and enriches the world of literature and the arts. And we work closely with our member states like Afghanistan to ensure that intellectual property system remains a flexible and adaptable tool for prosperity and well-being, designed to help realize the full potential of works created for present and future generation. So we are the member of United Nations because we are an organization which is in the family of United Nations, and we serve as a forum for our member states. We establish and harmonize rules and practices for the protection of intellectual property rights. We offer global registration systems for trademarks, industrial designs, and appellations of origin, as well as a global patent filing system. You see, so this is another course which can be given to you. But we offer the global registration systems. I told you that if you have an invention, you made a product or a process, or you have a trademark or design, so you can go to your national intellectual property office. You can file there. You can also file to WIPO. You can send your registration to WIPO directly. So that's what I mean when I say that we offer global registration systems. So I can say to you that, okay, this is very interesting here. WIPO is a largely self-funded organization generating more than 95% of its annual budget through its widely used international registration and filing systems, of which I spoke to you, and its publications and arbitration and mediation services. So let me now conclude by saying that we are living in a knowledge-based world today. Knowledge-based. And where do you find the knowledge? When you go to a country, you find the knowledge in universities, in research centers, in technical schools, in businesses. So you find knowledge. There is knowledge there. And that's why, you see, I would like to comment what Mr. Sangdel, Professor Sangdel has done. You see, creating university. It's not only in Switzerland, but also in your country, in Afghanistan. And not only there, but also in Africa, in many countries there, because he understands the importance of knowledge. We are living in a knowledge-based world today. And we need to use this knowledge because global economy is driven by knowledge. So that's why intellectual property, meaning the total and exclusive control of human creativity. It is the tool which stimulates human development and whose consequence is the improvement of the conditions of the existence of humanity. Intellectual property allows a society like Afghanistan to fully manage its space and transform its natural resources over time in order to solve all existential problems. Intellectual property and human development are synonyms. So you have intellectual property, you have human development, they are synonyms. So human development being the capacity to fully use one's intellectual potential in order to meet all current and future challenges. So that is intellectual property. You see, I come back to what I spoke to you earlier, and I'm going to conclude here by showing you this picture and by asking you, when you will get this presentation, to remove this picture you see there and to put your picture there, so that you can be aware of the fact that science and technology have no boundaries today. Science and technology have no boundaries. Since, you see, the wind blows everywhere, and so does the wind of science and technology. So that's why I recommend you to write to us, to write to the World Intellectual Property Organization, to establish technology and innovation support centers in your country, so that you can benefit from all the resources I spoke to you about, all which I presented to you, so that you can start using it there in your field, so that you can develop your country, you can develop your economy, because economy is the situation. The economy is the tool, you see, that will help you raise the standard of living in your country. And you should play this role, because you have a brain, you have a mind. You remember I told you that intellectual property is, you see, refers to the works of the mind. And in the university, you go there so that you can be taught how to use your mind, so that you can create. University meaning universe. You see, the word, in the word university, you have the word universe. It means that those who go there, they have the mission to fulfill, which is to understand how their country functions. That's why you have a lot of faculties there. You have medicine, you have economy, you have, let's say, technical faculties. You have all this, you see, law, and all this. Why? Because you go to think, and you have to bring solutions to the existential problems there. So it is up to you and to not only to work in isolation, but to get in touch with the business world. You invent something, okay, so there should be a bridge between university and the business world. So that is very important. So that's why Professor Sangdel is also teaching leadership, how to create a business. You see, he's not only teaching, you see, university students, just university, just the fields like that, but he also teaches them how to connect this knowledge acquired in the university to business. So that is what is going to develop your country. So these are useful links on databases. You can find all these links. You can go there and then after send us your request so that we can reply to you, and your government will sign what we call a service level agreement with the director general of our organization, and we will come to Afghanistan and we will give the briefing. We will introduce what is the TISC program and what can it bring to you. If you see Europe today, you see United States, Japan, Canada, and all these countries, the level of development has come from the use of intellectual property. And that's why Professor Sangdel asked me to brief you on intellectual property. And I'm very, very honored and pleased to cooperate with Professor Sangdel and UMass University and Dunia and all other universities, other campuses scattered around the world, so that we can contribute to the development of humanity. And today, for you who are watching from Afghanistan, I would like to encourage you to use these resources, to use intellectual property, so that you can contribute to the development of your country. So I thank you very much for your attention. I don't know if there are questions.
Il n'y a pas de question.